Hi, class. Today we're going to be working on day 5 of our unit over overcoming adversity, and our novel that we're highlighting is "Speak" by Laurie Halse Anderson. It's very, very good. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Um, the first thing I want to do today is discuss some of the reading that we were assigned last night. We were supposed to read uh, Dinner Theater through Nightmare, and um, the part I want to discuss before we get started today is I kind of wanted to review what we read last night. And an important scene to me from Dinner Theater was the dissection of the apple scene, um, which is kind of taking us into today because our lesson topic for today is frog dissections and things with feathers. Um, so before we get started on the frog dissection part and our poem by Emily Dickinson, I want to talk about the dinner party scene from last night in our homework. Um, you should have all written in your journal and made annotations, and some of us are doing critical thinking questions for us. So, um, the questions I had today were in the dissection of an apple scene, the smell that Melinda gets from the apple in the apple dissection takes her back to a childhood memory. Now, they say that sense of smell is closely tied to memory. It's probably the biggest sense that takes you back. And she gets taken back to a happier place. And as we've talked about in this book, cold symbolizes sadness and quiet for Melinda. So my question for you guys are, what do you think the warmth represents in this book? What does wood warm symbolize? Because in that moment when she's taken back, she's thinking about picking apples with her family. She's standing in an apple orchard by a tree, and she can feel the warm sunlight on her. So what would warmth symbolize in this book? Right. So if cold is silence and depression, warmth would be, a ability to communicate and happiness. So we also talked about how trees represent Melinda's transformation and her growth. So it's ironic and fitting that the happy moment takes her back to where she's in a big grove of trees. Um, because at that point in her life, she probably wasn't needing a transformation as much as she does right now. And also, the most fitting thing in the apple dissection was when she was finished, she cut open her apple, and what does she find in the middle to end the scene? That's very fitting of the scene. Right. She found a seed. And all throughout this book, seeds represent her trying to like reclaim her identity, transform and get herself back. She's tired of feeling like someone else. She voices in her internal monologues, her thoughts in her head that um she's silent because she doesn't feel like herself. She's gone through this traumatic event and she's trying to get her life back and she really doesn't know how to go about it. But in this moment, I thought it was a big moment for her because she's thinking back to her childhood and slowly she's putting it back together to what she needs to do to move forward and have, more happy memories in the future. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed that scene as much as I did from last night. As you know, I'm reading along with you because I enjoy this book. I enjoy most books, um like I said, today is frog dissections and things with feathers. Um we will start with Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. I absolutely love Emily Dickinson. She was a big leading poet from the 19th century. She's known for her bold original verse, and many people describe her as having a haunting personal voice when it comes to her poetry. She's one of those poets that was not famous while she was alive. Her sister, actually, I think her name was Lavinia. She found her poetry after she passed away, and then she became famous for it. So I'm going to share my screen real quick so I can pull up the text and you guys can read along with me. So, Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. All right. So let me see if I can stop sharing for a moment. Okay. So my questions for you are how why do you think that Emily Dickinson chose to represent a bird as hope in this poem? Okay, that's a good one. Birds are very free. They're just soaring up in the air. Any other ideas? No, those are good. So for how important do you think the idea of suffering is in this poem? And the second part of that question is, do you have to have suffering to have hope? Right. I feel like hope is more powerful after you've been through some suffering. It feels like you feel like you have the ability to move past it. Hope is a powerful thing, and suffering, unfortunately, is a powerful thing as well. How convincing is this poem to you? Do you were you really convinced by it, or were you just like birds, don't really represent hope to you? Okay. I feel like she has a very powerful voice. As you notice, the poem's not real long, but that was a brilliant thing about Emily Dickinson is she did not need a lot of words to make you feel something. She was known for using a lot of metaphors. Um, and the last one is, how did the rhyme affect the way you read it? Right. And I wanted you to notice I was looking for my paper version here because I've already stopped my screen share, but he uses dashes throughout, which really affects the flow of it and makes it's supposed to emphasize certain words and make you and if you'll notice words like gale is capitalize, C extremity. And if you'll notice there's a rhyme scheme. We're not going to go too deep into poetry right now because we'll do that at another time, but the rhyme scheme is heard, bird, C extremity, me. So there definitely is a rhyme scheme. And so I want you guys to rank that poem for me. You can hold up 1 to 5. So 1, you didn't like it very much. 5, okay, good. About average, about medium. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do today is we are going to take a scene. As I said, today's frog dissections and things with feathers. And today we're going to break up in our group. We're going to have our same groups group titles that we've been going with. We have your manager, your reporter, things of those nature. You've already chose them and you're going to get in your groups today. And as a group, we are going to annotate a scene. Um, if you'll notice the handout that I'm going to give you, it is broken up with different fonts. And that just kind of to guide you, like as the font changes, that's a place where is a possible annotation. Um, and afterwards, I'll kind of go with you over my annotations because I did it as well. We'll kind of see how they match up. But like I said, we've done annotations in here before. So, it's just note taking, putting anything that you find important in there. Um, and just, and we are really paying a lot of attention to symbolism. Excuse me, I'm getting over a sickness. So, remember, if you see any symbolic elements, make sure you highlight those because this book is full of them. So go ahead and we'll break up into our groups, and then I'm going to read through the scene with you, and then I'll give you guys some time to annotate, and then I'll go over my annotations with you. Excuse me. And then we're going to have a little bit of time to work on our book posters. I should have my copy in here too. I'm going to get a drink real quick. Okay. So now everybody is in their groups. I want to look at this scene with you. Like I said, it's a frog dissection scene. I'm not going to give too much away. I was about to say what the scene kind of encompassed, everything about it, but I'm not going to do that. I want to see what your annotations say first. So this says, our frog lies on her back, waiting for a prince to come and princessify her with a smooch. I stand over her with my knife. Miss Keene's voice fades to a mosquito whine. My throat closes off. It's hard to breathe. I put out my hand to steady myself against the table. David pins her froggy hands to the dissection tray. He spreads her froggy legs open and pins her froggy feet. I have to slice open her belly. She doesn't say a word. She's already dead. A scream starts in my gut. I can feel the cut, smell the dirt, and the leaves in my hair. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit to work through the annotations. Like I said, the different text is signifies a different annotation for you guys. So made it simple to kind of see where you should go. I'll give you guys a few minutes and then we'll go over mine. Okay. All right, now that you guys have had plenty of time. So first, our first little scene. Our frog lies on her back, waiting for the prince to come princessify her with a smooch. What kind of annotation did you guys get there? Okay, good. We have like references to fairy tales. Um, in mine, I put, she starts to, it does feel like a fairy tale. You can feel Melinda's internal battle with wanting to be very innocent, fairy tale-ish. She uses word like princess spy and smooch. She's waiting for her prince to come. And then she's battling with kind of her trauma that she's gone through. So you can, she's always feeling that internal battle. I'm sure some of you feel like certain internal battles. You want to do this, but you feel like this inside, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be happy all the time when you've gone through something really big in your life. Um, what about Miss Keene's voice fades to a mosquito whine? Why does her voice fade? What note did you guys get there? Okay, you guys picked up on her voice fading. The mosquito whine, you just think about it becoming background noise. So why did her voice fade? Right, she's starting to cut everything out around her. This scene was big because it was a trigger for her trauma, seeing the frog, being helpless and wanting to help it. She related to the frog. Um, my throat closes off. Um, it's hard to breathe. I put my hand out to steady myself against the table. Any important notes did you guys get there? Right, she's experienced some kind of Um, I don't know. I've never had a panic attack, but I'm assuming this is what it's like. Um, does this happen more than once to Melinda? This is the first big scene that we've seen with her experiencing like an attack in a public area. Um, do you guys remember any other scenes that may felt like it was going to get to this point? Okay, good. Yes. Um, David pins her froggy hands to the dissection tray. He spreads her legs and pins her froggy feet. Why my annotation I got here was what is bothering Melinda so much? What did you guys write down there? Good. She's feeling some re-traumatization. That's a good one. Um, she doesn't say a word. She's already dead. Um, so what annotation did you guys get there? Right. That I've this is really speaking volumes for how Melinda relates to the frog. Um, I put here, can a person who is alive actually be dead at the same time or feel dead at the same time? What do you think? Right. You can feel dead inside but be going through the motions and feeling alive. So a scream starts in my gut and I can feel the cut, smell the dirt and the leaves in my hair. So my annotation here is what cut, what dirt. And are there leaves really in her hair? What is she referring to? Right. Re-traumatization. She's just feeling like she's back in that moment. It's triggering her panic attack. What notes did you guys get there? That's a good one. The leaves in her hair. And like you said, dead leaves, all the tree, she uses the symbolic tree to for her transformation. And in the beginning, remember she's drawing the dead tree, dead leaves, and then we're starting to see little signs of hope, but not so much yet. And then what happened to her? What's the final annotation you guys got there? Right. She faints and blacks out. So, I mean, can any of you imagine feeling that way? People don't really know what she's gone through. They just know she contacted the police. They're making fun of her, calling her a snitch. But after what she's gone through, can you imagine sitting in class and feeling that panic attack and then blacking out in front of your whole class? That would be pretty awful, right? Okay, good. Um, another thing we're going to work on right now, excuse me, is we are going to start our book poster today. Um, and I want and I'm you guys did very well on the annotation scene because we're going to be doing that a lot with sections out of certain books and poems and everything. So I was glad to see that you guys found such insightful things in that. Sorry, excuse me. So good job with that. So like I said, we're going to start our book posters. I do have an example, but I really want you guys to be really original with these. We're going to hang them in the room. It's going to look fantastic. But the thing about this is I want to give each group a lot of creative freedom. You can use colored paper, pencils, marker, go real like old school on it, draw it out, or you can um, you can get online if some of you are really good at graphic design. Then I encourage you to use what you're good at. So I do want you to use creative freedom. We are going to hang them. I do want you to incorporate some of the symbolic elements that we found in the book. Symbolism, like we've talked about, is really, really big in this book. So this is the example I have. And if you'll notice, it has flowers and trees, and it has Melinda on there. And this is a great one, but you guys are going, I'm sure you're going to just floor me with what you guys come up with because you always do. Um, and so we're going to work about 10 minutes getting started today. if getting started for you is just getting a paper and writing down ideas, that's fine, as long as you're working and I'm walking around and I can hear that you guys are discussing some symbolism, what's gonna go on the front, why it's important, then I understand. I'm not expecting everybody to have out, your actual supplies today. You can be locating a graphic design place on the web that you're gonna be working with, that's fine as long as you're actively finding some kind of direction to go with this book poster. And I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to get started with that. Okay, so now that you guys have done that, I want to just like kind of go over, review what we've done today. Did you guys um what did you guys take away from today? We went from an apple dissection scene to a frog dissection scene. One scene was very different from the other. You get a happy memory in one and some re-traumatization in the other. Um, how do you guys feel about the novel so far? Um, what do you feel like? Do you feel like there's any key characters that are really going to help Melinda through this process? Um, We also have our graphic organizer that we're adding key characters to. We have the majority of the characters in there already, but and I really want to encourage you guys in the reading journals to pay close attention to characters and sensory things. That's one thing I wanted to bring up today for your reading journals. You guys have been doing really well in incorporating symbolism, but I want you to also pay attention to sensory details because, like, the apple took her back to a happy memory, and then smell. So smell brings you back, but I want I want you to pay attention for senses and sensory for Melinda because those are some of the only things that she talks about from her trauma. She does not go into graphic detail about what happened to her, but she was very well aware of, like, smelling dirt and the leaves in her hair and, just, like, the things around her, and I want to some of that to reflect in your reading journals. So, make sure you're doing that. Tonight for, your homework, you're going to read the section "Go Blank" through Wombat's Rule. Like, I'm reading along with you, so make sure you're keeping up so you can join in with these group discussions. It's not good to get behind. It's a very manageable book if you do it piece by piece. Um, Everybody who needs your read aloud versions, I have them available for you. And remember everybody that's helping me write the critical thinking questions. And that's it for today. But I was really glad with our work today. Be thinking in your free time with your group a little bit about your book posters moving forward. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Remember to get your homework done and stay caught up. Bye.